like the movie, it makes the assumption that, well, you dum-dums know all about Leonard Bernstein. I'm the one dum-dum in the back going, I don't know anything about him. I feel lost. And so, could you show me? Like, no, dum-dum, you don't. You were not going to show you. We don't care. I was like, oh. And so I found that, I don't know. I found that really disappointing. But yes, my friends, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to my review for Maestro, Bradley Cooper's Maestro. Not only did he direct it, chat, but he also wrote it. He's producing it. He's starring in it. I think he plays every single character in the movie. They list other people in the film. They say Sarah Silverman's in it. They say Carey Mulligan's in it. Maya Hawke's in it, chat. But I think Bradley Cooper might be playing all of them, chat, because a lot of people are saying this is Bradley Cooper's magnum opus, chat. All the critics are raving about this film, or at least a lot of critics are. It's this big Oscar would-be award hopeful, chat. It's like it's going to sweep. Do I feel the same way? I'll let you know. But to give you a bit of a background, a synopsis for people that don't know Maestro, people that don't know about Leonard Bernstein, while covering some aspects of the famed composer and conductor, Leonard Bernstein, Maestro chronicles the lifelong relationship between Bernstein and his wife, Felicia. Now, I'll state this at the top. I knew nothing about Leonard Bernstein before watching this movie, especially in terms of his personal life and family situation. Though I'm more familiar with his work on, Broadway musicals like West Side Story and films like, On the Waterfront, did the music for that movie. But again, I knew very little about this man, and after watching Maestro, I feel like I still don't know a lot about him, to be completely honest. This film, like I said, is the creation of Bradley Cooper, who again serves as the films. He's the director, he's the writer, he's the producer. He also stars as Bernstein as well. It's very obvious he is extremely passionate about the project and of Bernstein himself. In terms of his previous directorial efforts, there was his remake of A Star Is Born, which I really liked. I thought it was directed very well. It featured great performances by, of course, Bradley Cooper, but also Lady Gaga, who was his co-star. And it was, I think one of the best movies the year it came out. It was quite good. I think, like a lot of people, we're very curious what Cooper's next directorial effort would be. And it's weird though, for whatever reason, Maestro just kind of wasn't on my radar at all this year. I think I reacted to the trailer a couple of months ago, and I don't know. I was just like, okay, I guess we'll see. I don't know. It didn't capture my attention. Despite also, again, I brought up Bradley Cooper a lot on my channel, and especially his acting. He's in one of my favorite movies of the last decade, which was Silver Linings Playbook, which he co-starred with Jennifer Lawrence and a bunch of other very talented people. I love the movie. It's one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. Might be my favorite romantic comedy of all time. And so, Bradley Cooper, well, maybe he hasn't always been in fantastic movies every single time. He has done a lot of great work, no doubt about it, over the last, God, at this point, 15 going on 20 years now, right? But again, in the case of Maestro, I have seen it now, and to be completely honest, I have a lot of mixed feelings on it. In terms of some of the film's technical aspects, the look and the cinematography of the movie, I think, is quite gorgeous. It's beautiful. We flash back to the 1940s, where we have a different frame size and it's in black and white, and here we start to see the early successes of Bernstein's career, and then him meeting and falling in love with, an actress named Felicia, played by, again, Carey Mulligan. And, but all of this, is happening despite also being gay, or at the very least, a bisexual man. We eventually transition to the 50s, and then further on the decades afterwards, and the film shifts the frame size again and the color palette to this kind of hyper technicolor look, which is also very beautiful, and we've kind of seen a little bit of that this year, kind of this very different type of color palette and frame size and just aesthetic with the film. Kind of also reminded me to an extent of something like the Holdovers by Alexander Payne. And again, I think all that is very good, and I think it's all very impressive. Like, there's a lot of craftsmanship put in just to the look of this movie. It kind of gave me, especially like during the black and white stuff and during the Technicolor, just as we're in the scenes themselves aesthetically, kind of just made me just feel nice and warm inside. It made me feel really nice. I like that. The performances from Cooper and Mulligan, I think, are also quite good, though. I have to say, some of the makeup, particularly on Cooper, who's playing like Leonard Bernstein throughout, multiple decades, and so they're aging him throughout. It can look a little weird and rubbery when we're very close up to his face. Sometimes it looks great. Like from a distance, like, oh, wow, it looks very impressive. But when we're just like right on the man, when we're just front and center and his entire face is just occupying the frame and just staring at you, it did look a little rubbery. It did look a little fake, and it's just like, yeah, there's something's not right here. But other scenes, it looked fine. In other parts, it looked really, really good. I just think when it was an odd choice to just go that close in on his face, because I'm like, yeah, that don't look right. Something's a little off for me. But the big issues that I have with this movie are often problems that I think I have with a lot of biopics. I think a lot of other people have issues with when it comes to biopics. In Cooper's attempt to cover, again, decades of Bernstein's life, we skip over seemingly very important career moments in Bernstein's work, which makes it feel very choppy, and I think just hard to get to know the man. And the film is clearly more interested in the marriage, the relationship of Leonard and Felicia. And because of that, I ended up feeling more of honestly a connection to like Mulligan as Felicia than Cooper as Bernstein, because we're just kind of being told all of the things that he's done. This or that and anywhere else in between. And you know what? The editing, I think, also does this film a disservice and kind of does a disservice to some of those big career moments. For example, we're set up with a scene where Bernstein is about to like truly show off his skills for the first time due to certain circumstances. And where he's going to truly prove himself the genius that he's often credited as being. And we start with that scene, right? He's going to conduct, and then it just cuts to the end of it. And to me, I was like, what the hell was that? I want to see that. I don't know a lot about him. I'm kind of the person going in knowing nothing about him. I'm told he's a genius. I'm like, okay, I want to see him show off his skills. And there's like, nah, and everyone's like, whoa, that was great. It's like, I miss all of it. What are you talking about? So that was very weird. It's kind of like the movie, it makes the assumption that, well, you dum-dums know all about Leonard Bernstein. I'm like, I'm the one dum-dum in the back going, I don't know anything about him. I feel lost. And so, can you show me? Like, no, dum-dum, you don't. We're not going to show you. We don't care. I was like, oh. And so I found that, I don't know. I found that really disappointing. There are also some, there's some conversational scenes between Cooper and Mulligan that I think went on for way too long. And I think we're just drawn out for little to no reason other than like, doesn't this shot look great? Just the cinematography, and it's all, we're experimental. It's all like one take and everything. I'm just like, yeah, it looks good, but I'm not really interested in what is being discussed between the two of them. That's the other thing. So much of the conflict between the two of them that's shown over the years is interesting to a point, since despite loving each other, Bernstein's like, listen, man, I like to fuck. I don't care. I'm a partier. I've had many boyfriends. I've had many girlfriends, and I don't care, and so, that's obviously a point of contention between, him and his partner and his wife. And, there's actually, it kind of all comes to a head in a good scene. There's even a moment with Maya Hawke, who's in the movie, who plays their daughter, Jamie, who confronts her father about the rumors around his sexuality and just his general, debauchery. And I think that's like really well acted and very well written. But how this is the thing that bothers me. But how the conflict is resolved between the two of them, between Bradley Cooper's Bernstein and Carey Mulligan's Felicia, just felt like really schmaltzy and a little bizarre. I learned just before this review that Bernstein's family were like heavily involved as consultants in this movie. And I don't know, every time you of course you should have the people involved and to give you their obvious perspective on this man. But I do wonder if they perhaps painted a more kinder picture on the relationship between this two, because the scene in which, it doesn't there's no actually exchange of dialogue between them. It's literally a scene where they get into this huge fight where obviously Bernstein's in the wrong for what he's doing and, cheating on her. And then they go to this concert and it just shows just how talented he obviously was. There's no doubt. And then Mulligan's just like, he's just so goddamn talented. I forgive him. It's like, wait a minute. No. That's not how that works. I feel like that's not how that works, at all. And that's what I'm talking about. It feels a little schmaltzy, there. Unlike The Iron Claw, which I just watched a few days ago, where I was just so invested in the Von Erich brothers and their family, and got emotional when seeing their subsequent tragedies. I kind of felt very cold with this movie. And while I admired a number of its technical aspects and its look, and I think it's very well shot, and cinematography is very beautiful, right? Whether it be the black and white or the more technicolor, hyper colorized scenes, and honestly, it was the story. It was the story and the pacing and its choice of focus that I personally just couldn't really get on board with. I never really was on board with. I didn't find it to be all that interesting. As someone, again, who just doesn't really know a lot about Leonard Bernstein, I would have liked to have known more about him instead of just, the relationship. But again, maybe people who are more familiar with his work, who are obsessed over his work, which is clearly Bradley Cooper. He's like, I know everything about this guy, clearly. And, he's like, I really want to tell that story. I want to focus on the relationship, which, is the one that people are like, ooh, how was it, since, Leonard Bernstein was gay, bisexual, whatever you want to say. How did that work? It's like, ooh, that's kind of like the taboo subject. And so I can kind of understand that interest in it, but I guess what they chose to show just wasn't enough for me personally to get a sense, to get a idea of the man. And left me wanting a lot. And so, yeah, I know this movie is getting a lot of praise from a lot of different circles and a lot of different people, and a lot of people praising the performances. And I understand the look of the movie. I totally respect that. I totally get that. But it just suffers from a lot of the pitfalls of other biopics, right? And not to say that I hate every single biopic. I mean, one of my favorite movies this year is a biopic. It is The Iron Claw. But I think The Iron Claw, despite even a couple of criticisms of that movie, I think it managed to circumvent some of that stuff and made me I felt invested. There was not a single scene, and there's some heavy moments in this movie that maybe they would affect a number of people in it. But whereas I felt so emotional watching The Iron Claw, getting water-eyed probably several times in that film, I had a dry eye throughout this entire movie. So again, didn't really work for me. Might work for you. Very mixed bag of a film, but that's just how I feel about Bradley Cooper's Maestro. I'm not like, I'm gonna write off Bradley Cooper forever. It's like, no, clearly he is getting more experimental with his filmmaking. He's definitely pushing it forward. Maybe he kind of just took on too much. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But whatever he's gonna do next, I want more of a focus on the subject and not just kind of be so wishy-washy and just kind of telling us where they probably should be showing us. That would be nice. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do next. This didn't really all work for me. What about you guys out there? Some of you didn't even know what Maestro was. I understand it's not like, one of those heavily advertised movies. It seems to be like a darling in critic circles and things. I mean, for the longest time, I was like, oh yeah, that movie. I guess I'll check that out when I had. And I had the opportunity to check it out. And well, my opinion. But what about you guys? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Are you mixed on it? Which I guess I'm more mixed to negative at this point. Let me know.
5 minutes later.
The poster's lighting makes it look like she has crazy long giraffe neck. I guess you're right. Looking at it now, yeah, she's got like a big fucking, holy shit. Oh my God. Yeah, it does. I didn't even realize it until you just said it out loud. It's like, yeah, that is, wow. That doesn't look real. Oh my Lord. I don't like it. Now that you pointed out, now I don't like looking at it. I'm frankly joking. No, you don't listen. I don't want that. Look, that's an unusual neck. That's an unusual neck. It feels like her neck just, dislocated from like her spine. It's now like stretching with the skin. She looks like Plastic Man. Carey Mulligan's a very beautiful woman, but the poster is weird. The poster is weird. Let me look at Carey Mulligan. I just want to make sure, like, she has, like, a normal neck. Now I'm just like, has her neck always been that way? Oh, yeah, they did her wrong. She's got she's a very, I don't know how to describe it, strong neck, I guess. You see a lot of the stuff. I don't know how to describe it. You see, you see everything. There's a lot, all I'm saying is there's a lot going on with her neck. You see a lot of tendons. You see a lot of neck. It's a lot of neck meat. That's all I'll say. A lot of like, tense neck. You get what I'm saying. So, they're like, we'll work with this. They just made it longer. I don't know how to describe it. Something's going on with her neck, though, okay? Neck gate. Yeah, you guys are absolutely fucking right. With that poster. There's no doubt. Lots of neck meat. That's right. She has a strong, girthy, veiny neck. That's what it is. I didn't want to say those words, but yep, that's exactly what she has.